Families celebrate the prodigy, the child who learns faster, performs better, exceeds expectations before expectations have fully formed. The pride is real. The display is public. What is rarely examined by the family or by the audience watching is the process that produced the performance. What was done to the child before the child became impressive? What parts of them were removed to make space for the skill? Killua Zoldyck is introduced as one of the most capable characters in Hunter x Hunter. 12 years old, calm under lethal pressure, able to kill without hesitation and vanish without a trace. The presentation, cool, detached, rebellious, is designed to make him magnetic. The clinical reality behind the magnetism is different. Killua is not a prodigy. He is a product. Every ability he displays was installed through methods that, described plainly, constitute years of systematic abuse conducted by the people who were supposed to raise him. The rebellion is not personality. It is a survival response from a psyche that has been compressed into a shape it was never asked to consent to. The Zoldyck family operates with the structure of an institution, not a household. The roles are professional. The expectations are contractual. Affection, when it surfaces, is conditional on output. Killua's resistance to electricity, the trait most frequently displayed as evidence of his power, was produced by subjecting him to electrical torture until his nervous system adapted. His immunity to poison came from the same method applied with different substances. What the story presents as an arsenal is, stripped of its fictional framing, a catalog of repeated trauma administered by family members to a child who could not refuse. In developmental psychology, this process is called systematic desensitization, the exposure of a subject to a feared stimulus at increasing intensity until the fear response extinguishes. Clinical applications use it to treat phobias, carefully and with consent. The Zoldyck household applies it to a child's body to manufacture an instrument. The subject's welfare is irrelevant. The function is everything. Silva, the father, and Illumi, the eldest brother, occupy the roles of handler and programmer, respectively. Silva sets the operational parameters, what Killua must become, what the family requires of him. Illumi enforces the psychological boundaries, what Killua is permitted to feel, think, and choose. Neither relates to him as a child. Both relate to him as the family's most valuable output. The decision to flee to the Hunter exam is not adolescent rebellion. It is the act of a mind that has reached the limit of what it can absorb without disintegrating. Killua does not leave because he has somewhere better to go. He leaves because staying will finish the job the training started, the complete erasure of whatever exists inside him that is not the assassin. The first thing Killua encounters outside the family is Gon Freecss. Gon is open, uncalculating, and entirely indifferent to Killua's past. He does not flinch at the word assassin. He does not adjust his behavior based on what Killua can do for him. He offers companionship without conditions, which is the one thing Killua's defenses were never designed to handle because they had never encountered it before. A child raised inside conditional love will, upon meeting unconditional acceptance for the first time, bond with an intensity that looks from the outside like friendship, but operates internally closer to survival dependency. The attachment is not proportional to the relationship. It is proportional to the deprivation that preceded it. Killua does not befriend Gon the way a 12-year-old befriends another 12-year-old. He grips Gon the way a person underwater grips the first solid thing they reach. The dependency produces a pattern identical to the one it replaced. During the dodgeball match in Greed Island, Killua receives a throw powerful enough to shatter the bones in his hands. He holds the ball. His palms are destroyed and he does not let go, because letting go would reduce Gon's chances. He absorbs physical destruction to preserve his usefulness to another person. The same transaction the Zoldyck household demanded of him since birth, performed now voluntarily in the name of friendship rather than family. The belief that his value lives in his function was never corrected. It was transplanted. The name on the leash changed. The leash did not. Quick pause. Killua didn't know support without ulterior motives. And I want to sincerely thank you for the support you've given the channel. just because you enjoy the content. Since we're growing right now, please help out by subscribing, leave a like, and hit the hype button to help the video reach more people. Your support is fundamental. Let's look at the moment Killua makes his first decision. Illumi did not rely on psychology alone. Before Killua left the estate, his brother planted a needle inside his brain. The needle carries a single instruction. When faced with an opponent who might be stronger, disengage. Do not fight. Do not assess. Flee. The command replicates, in physical hardware, what psychology calls learned helplessness, the condition produced when an organism is subjected to inescapable pain for long enough that it stops attempting resistance, even when resistance becomes possible. The organism does not evaluate the new situation. It defaults to surrender because the neural pathway for choice has been overwritten by repeated failure. The needle ensures that Killua's body obeys the program even when his mind has started to question it. For years, Killua interprets the fear response as his own. He believes the cowardice is a character flaw, something broken in him that proves the family was right about what he is. The needle is invisible. The programming feels like identity. The break comes during the Chimera Ant arc, in a confrontation with a soldier named Ramat. The needle fires. The command to flee activates. Killua's legs begin to obey, and he stops them. He reaches into his own skull and tears the needle out with his fingers. The choice belongs to no one's programming and no one's dependency, just his. The needle is gone. The family's voice is silent. And the first thing Killua's freedom forces him to witness is the disintegration of the person he built his entire world around. Gon loses Kite, the man who first connected him to his absent father, killed by a Chimera Ant named Pito. The grief that follows is not the grief of someone processing a death. It is the grief of someone consumed by it. Gon stops recognizing limits. He stops caring whether he survives. He stops being the warm, open presence Killua anchored himself to and becomes something focused and monstrous and entirely unreachable. Killua watches and cannot intervene. The family programmed him. Gon replaced the programming with something softer. Now the program is removed and the replacement is collapsing. And Killua stands between two demolished structures with nothing to hold except himself. What fills the space is something no part of his training accounted for. Not tactical assessment. Not the cold survival instinct of an assassin scanning for exits. Empathy. Raw, unprocessed, arriving not through instruction, but through crisis. The terror of watching someone he loves choose their own destruction. The helplessness of caring about an outcome he has no power to change. The arrival is brutal, because the first thing he feels, fully and without defense, is loss. After the arc, Killua does two things that complete the separation from everything he was built to be. He rescues Alluka, his youngest sibling, who carries an entity the Zoldyck family considers an uncontrollable threat. The family responds to Alluka the way it responds to everything, through containment, suppression, the reduction of a person to a risk profile. Alluka is locked away and managed rather than raised. Killua looks at his sibling and sees what he was, a child inside a family that cannot distinguish between a person and a tool. He takes Alluka and leaves, and the act converts him into the one thing no Zoldyck ever was for him, someone who protects without conditions. The guardian he needed, built out of the absence of ever having had one. Then he says goodbye to Gon. Before Gon makes his final climb toward the world tree to meet his father, the two of them part. Gon heads toward his destination. Killua walks in a different direction, with Alluka beside him. The farewell carries no drama, because the relationship has already done what it needed to do. Gon gave Killua the first experience of being accepted without utility. Killua gave Gon the one companion willing to follow him into the worst of himself. Whatever that was, friendship, codependency, rescue, it served its purpose, and both of them can walk forward without it. Killua had no self before the damage. There was nothing underneath the assassin that preceded the assassin. No original Killua that the family corrupted. What he carries away from the world tree is not a recovery. It is a first construction, assembled from the wreckage of two dependencies and the pain of watching both collapse, held together by the one capacity his family never installed and never intended him to develop. A boy walking beside his sister, under no one's instructions, toward a life he is building for the very first time.